What if I told you the same canned soup that claims to be heart-healthy might actually be stressing your heart with every bite? It sounds unthinkable, doesn't it? But if you're over 60 and you're eating certain canned foods marketed as convenient or comforting, your pantry could be quietly working against you. You see, I'm not just talking about junk food. I'm talking about everyday staples, soups, fruits, even chili foods that many older adults eat daily, believing they're making smart, budget-friendly choices. But recent studies and real-life patient stories tell a different tale. These canned foods can be loaded with hidden sodium chemical preservatives and added sugars that don't just raise your blood pressure. They chip away at your energy, weaken your muscles, and even increase your risk of heart failure, diabetes, or cognitive decline. Frank, 66, had no idea. He lived alone after his wife passed and leaned on canned ravioli, fruit cups, and stew to get by. They were easy, cheap, familiar. But within 2 years his legs began to swell. He felt tired all the time. His memory slipped. His doctor blamed aging. But the real cause? It was sitting on a shelf in his kitchen. So, in today's video, we're lifting the lid literally on the 5 worst canned foods silently weakening your body after 60. And revealing the 5 best that can actually rebuild your strength, protect your heart, and restore energy from the inside out. We'll walk through each one with real stories, simple science, and small home swaps that can make a big difference, starting with a fruit you've probably trusted for decades, but may never look at the same way again. But before we dive in, tell me in the comments, what canned food do you reach for most often? Soup, chili, peaches, and syrup, drop it below. We read every comment, and your story might help someone else feel seen, supported, and inspired. Let's begin with the 5th worst canned food for older adults, a sweet-looking trap that's quietly spiking blood sugar and draining your energy. Canned fruit in syrup, peaches, pears, pineapples, you know the ones. Bright, juicy, and floating in thick golden syrup that promises sweetness and convenience. And on the surface it feels like a better choice than cookies or cake, right? After all, it's fruit. But here's the painful truth. Most canned fruits in syrup are closer to soda than to actual nutrition. That heavy syrup isn't natural. It's added sugar, and in huge amounts. Just 1 small cup of canned peaches in syrup can deliver over 30 grams of sugar. That's the equivalent of 8 teaspoons of sugar in something marketed as healthy. And for seniors over 60 whose metabolism is slower and whose insulin sensitivity may already be declining, this kind of sugar overload can be devastating. Meet Gloria. She's 72, and she thought she was doing the right thing. She gave up her evening cookies and replaced them with a bowl of canned peaches in syrup. She even told her doctor proudly, "I'm eating more fruit now." But within a year, her waistline expanded, her energy crashed after meals, and she began experiencing blurry vision and tingling in her feet. Her labs came back pre-diabetic. Gloria was heartbroken. She thought fruit was the solution, not the problem. What happened? The syrup, full of high-fructose corn syrup and added sugars, was pushing her blood sugar through the roof. Without the fiber of fresh fruit to slow digestion, her body absorbed that sugar like a sponge, and it overwhelmed her system. The fix: if you love fruit, don't give it up. Just choose wisely. Look for cans labeled packed in water or 100% fruit juice. Even better, grab a handful of fresh berries, apple slices, or orange wedges. They give your body antioxidants and fiber without the sugar bomb. Because when you treat fruit like medicine, not candy in disguise, your energy, waistline, and blood sugar all begin to thank you. But while sweet syrup can damage your body, the next canned food on our list is even sneakier. It's marketed as comforting, even heart-healthy. But it's packing more salt than a bag of chips, and the damage starts with your ankles. By the way, in our next video, we'll be diving into 4 types of seafood that older adults should avoid, and 4 that can boost memory, reduce joint pain, and support your heart. You might be surprised some of the so-called superfoods are actually doing more harm than good if you're over 60. So if you haven't already, click subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss it. Your body will thank you. Now let's talk about canned soups, and why that innocent-looking lunch could be pushing your blood pressure into the danger zone. Let's move to number 4, a food that's practically a staple in senior households, especially on cold days when cooking feels like too much. Canned soups, chicken noodle, vegetable medley, low-fat lentil. The labels boast heart symbols, real vegetables, and even low cholesterol. But here's the hidden truth: most canned soups are loaded with so much sodium they might as well come with a blood pressure warning. Even a single serving of canned chicken noodle soup can pack over 900 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly half the recommended daily limit, in just one small bowl. And if you're like most people, you're not stopping at one serving. You're eating the whole can. Meet John. He's 68 and had a routine. Every afternoon, he'd heat up a can of chicken soup, pour it into his favorite mug, and sip while watching the news. It felt warm, nostalgic, safe. But over time, John started noticing something strange. His shoes began to feel tighter. His ankles swelled. He got lightheaded when standing up. At his next checkup, his doctor looked him in the eye and said, "Your blood pressure is in the danger zone." John was shocked. He didn't smoke, didn't eat fast food, didn't even drink much. But his daily soup was silently salting his arteries, straining his kidneys, and stiffening his blood vessels. The science backs it up. A major clinical trial found that reducing sodium intake lowered systolic blood pressure by 7 points in older adults. That's enough to reduce stroke risk by nearly 25%. The fix: look for low-sodium soups with under 140 milligallons per serving. Or better yet, make a simple batch at home. A pot of water, garlic, carrots, celery, and chicken or beans can be frozen into portions for the whole week. Homemade soup doesn't just taste better, it's medicine in a bowl. But if you think soup is salty, wait until you see what's hidden inside your canned pasta. This next one combines sugar, salt, and low-quality oil, all wrapped in a tomato hug. Coming up next, the comfort food that's secretly hijacking your energy and memory. Now let's talk about number 3. It's the ultimate comfort food, warm, soft, and ready in minutes. Canned pasta. Think spaghetti and tomato sauce, beef ravioli, or macaroni and cheese. The labels say family favorite. The price tag says easy meal. And the taste feels like childhood. But here's what those labels won't tell you. Canned pasta is one of the worst traps for seniors. Why? Because it's the perfect storm of everything your aging body doesn't need. Refined carbs that spike blood sugar, sodium overload that strains your heart, added sugar that triggers fatigue, low-quality oils that fuel inflammation. Just one can of ravioli can carry over 200 milligrams of sodium and more than 20 grams of sugar, all hidden inside a sauce that looks innocent. Meet Harold, 70. He's a retired teacher living alone in Ohio. Dinner was always the same: pop open a can of spaghetti, heat it up, done. It was quick, cheap, and comforting, until his body started pushing back. Harold noticed his belly growing, his energy crashing after meals, and a strange fog that settled over his thoughts like a cloud. At his next appointment, his doctor told him his blood sugar was edging into pre-diabetic range, and his blood pressure had climbed again. The culprit: his beloved pasta in a can. Here's what's really happening inside. The refined carbs cause a blood sugar spike, followed by a crash. The sugar and oils feed inflammation, attacking your brain and joints. The sodium overload makes your heart and kidneys work overtime. And the worst part, seniors often chalk up the symptoms: fatigue, swelling, memory fog, to just getting older. But really, it's their body fighting a chemical storm after every meal. The fix: swap canned pasta for whole grain noodles and a homemade tomato sauce. Even better, add lean protein or beans for strength. Takes 10 minutes, but gives you back control. Because when your meals fuel you, not fight you, you don't just eat better, you feel younger. Now, if you thought pasta was bad, just wait until you hear what's hiding in those tiny metal cans of meat. Spam, Vienna sausages, corned beef. They seem harmless. But for seniors, they're a recipe for disaster. Coming up next, the childhood snack that could be fueling your swelling brain fog and even heart strain. Coming in at number 2 is a canned food that many older adults grew up with. It was in the pantry during tough times. It's affordable, it's familiar, and it promises quick protein without the fuss of cooking. Canned meats, spam, Vienna sausages, corned beef. But here's the truth no one talks about. These meats are among the most dangerous foods a senior can eat. Why? Because they combine 3 silent health saboteurs: sodium bombs that spike your blood pressure, saturated fats that clog your arteries, chemical preservatives like nitrates that damage your heart, kidneys, and even your brain. Just one serving of spam delivers over 790 milliliters of sodium and nearly 17 grams of fat. And Vienna sausages, over 800 milliliters of sodium in that tiny little can. Corned beef, more than 1,000 milliliters per serving. Meet Robert, 66. He grew up eating Vienna sausages and always kept a few cans in the pantry. They reminded him of his dad. Easy snack, protein boost, no prep. But over time, Robert developed high blood pressure. His feet and ankles stayed swollen. He got winded walking upstairs. Then came the heart scare, a mild heart attack that landed him in the ER. The doctor connected the dots. Robert's canned meat habit was flooding his body with salt-saturated fat and cancer-linked nitrates. Here's what happens inside. Sodium forces the heart to work harder, raising BP and damaging vessels. Nitrates turn into nitrosamines, compounds tied to cancer risk. Saturated fat builds up as plaque, choking off blood flow to muscles and brain. The early warning signs: swollen ankles, headaches, brain fog. Most people think it's just age, but it's actually your body sounding the alarm. The fix: trade in canned meats for fresh lean proteins like chicken, tuna in water, or even beans. If you need convenience, try rotisserie chicken, canned salmon, or boiled eggs. You're not giving up flavor, you're giving your body back its fighting chance. And as bad as canned meats are, there's one more food left on this list, one that combines all the dangers of the others in one can. It's salty, fatty, sweet, and marketed as hearty. But for seniors, it's a slow-motion health disaster. Coming up, the most dangerous canned food hiding in plain sight, and the easy swap that could save your heart, joints, and kidneys. And finally, the #1 worst canned food for people over 60. Canned chili and stews. They feel hearty, comforting, like real food. The labels say slow-cooked with beans made with beef and vegetables. It sounds like dinner at grandma's house until you read what's inside. Because these cans don't just contain meat and beans. They contain a perfect storm of health hazards. Ultra-processed meats, packed with sodium and preservatives, added sugars, hidden in the sauce to boost flavor, unhealthy oils that stoke inflammation, and more than 200 milligrams of sodium per can. That's not dinner, that's a chemical cocktail. Meet Margaret, 74. She lived alone and often turned to canned beef stew when she didn't feel like cooking. It was warm, fast, and reminded her of family. But after a couple of years, she noticed her blood pressure creeping up. Her joints ached more. She felt tired even when she hadn't done anything. At her checkup, her doctor told her, "Your heart, kidneys, and joints are all showing signs of stress." The canned stews she thought were nourishing. They were flooding her body with salt, fat, and preservatives that triggered inflammation and vascular damage. The science is sobering. One study found that seniors who ate a diet high in ultra-processed foods had a 62% higher risk of early death. Another found a 32% increase in heart disease risk, linked directly to canned meat-based meals like chili. The fix: if you crave chili or stew, make it at home in big batches. Use lean meats, low-sodium beans, fresh vegetables, and herbs for flavor. Freeze portions to keep it just as convenient without the damage. Because food should warm your heart, not wear it down. Now, if this list has you thinking, what can I eat from a can? You're not alone. The good news: some canned foods are actually powerful allies for senior health. Coming up next, 5 of the healthiest, most healing canned foods you can eat daily, starting with a tiny bean that fights blood sugar crashes and protects your heart. Let's begin with something humble, overlooked, and quietly powerful: chickpeas. They're not trendy, they're not flashy, but for people over 60, chickpeas might be one of the most underrated health tools in your pantry. Chickpeas are loaded with fiber, plant-based protein, magnesium, and folate. These nutrients don't just help with digestion, they work together to stabilize blood sugar, support heart health, and keep your mind sharp. And when eaten regularly, they can even reduce your hunger throughout the day and help you regain steady energy after meals. One study published in Nutrients found that older adults who ate legumes like chickpeas at least 4 times a week had a 22% lower risk of heart disease. And here's the bonus: the fiber in chickpeas doesn't just help your gut. It slows digestion, preventing sugar spikes, and crashes something especially important as insulin sensitivity declines with age. So how do you use them? Simple. Rinse canned chickpeas thoroughly to remove excess sodium. Toss into soups, blend into hummus, or sprinkle into salads with a bit of lemon and olive oil. Even roasting them with herbs makes a crunchy anti-inflammatory snack. It's not about being fancy, it's about being consistent. And this little bean helps you do just that. Next up is a food that quietly rebuilds what time often steals away: your bones. Canned salmon with bones may not sound glamorous, but for seniors it's a nutritional goldmine. Why? Because it combines calcium, protein, vitamin D, and omega-3 fats all in one can. And unlike many calcium supplements, the calcium in salmon bones is natural and absorbable, which means your body actually knows what to do with it. For older adults facing bone loss, muscle decline, or even mild depression, this combination supports joint strength, heart rhythm, mood, and brain function. A study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors who ate fatty fish like salmon twice a week had a 30% lower risk of heart disease. Another study showed real improvements in bone density with regular salmon intake. Here's how to make it easy. Choose wild-caught, water-packed salmon with soft, edible bones. Mash into patties, mix into salads, or stir into warm quinoa with olive oil and herbs. You won't taste the bones, but your joints, bones, and memory will feel the difference. Now let's talk about one of the most surprising superfoods in the senior aisle: sardines. They're tiny, they're cheap, and if you can get past the smell, they may do more for your heart, joints, and brain than most $40 supplements. Sardines are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, calcium, and protein, the perfect mix for older adults dealing with joint pain, cognitive decline, or muscle fatigue. Because they're small and low on the food chain, sardines are also low in mercury, making them one of the safest seafood choices out there. A study published in Nutrients found that seniors who consumed omega-3 rich fish like sardines had a 35% lower risk of cognitive decline. How to make it work for you: choose sardines packed in water or olive oil. Rinse to reduce sodium. Try them on toast with mustard mixed into salad or blended into a healthy fish spread. A couple servings per week can nourish your brain, lubricate your joints, and support your energy, all in just a few bites. Number 2 might surprise you because it's often seen as a base ingredient, not a health booster. But for seniors, no salt-added canned tomatoes are a heart-healing secret weapon. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, potassium, and vitamin C, nutrients that fight inflammation, support blood flow, and even help reduce oxidative stress that speeds up aging. And here's the twist: canned tomatoes actually deliver more lycopene than raw. The heat from processing unlocks this antioxidant, making it more available to your body. One study in the Journal of Nutrition found that people with high lycopene levels had a 55% lower risk of stroke. Another showed that tomato-rich diets reduced LDL cholesterol by 10%. To use them well, buy no salt added to avoid hidden sodium. Use as a base for pasta sauce, chili, or soups. Add garlic, basil, and olive oil to turn it into a powerful anti-inflammatory meal. No pills, no powders, just one simple can that protects your arteries and nourishes your cells. And finally, the number 1 canned food to eat after 60, if you want to protect your heart, support digestion, and stay strong well into your 70s and beyond. Black beans. They're packed with fiber, magnesium, potassium, protein, and polyphenols, compounds that reduce inflammation and feed your gut microbiome. Together they help you lower blood pressure, stabilize blood sugar, prevent muscle loss, support brain health, and even reduce your risk of early death. 1 cup of black beans contains nearly 15 grams of fiber and enough magnesium to support muscle function, nerve health, and restful sleep, all things that get harder with age. Research shows that seniors who eat legumes like black beans regularly have better glycemic control, lower cholesterol, and even improved mood. To make them work for you, choose no salt added, rinse thoroughly. Add to rice bowls, soups, salads, or veggie wraps. It's not just about digestion, it's about independence. Because when your gut works, your brain works. Your heart pumps stronger, and your body stays energized. 1 can. 5 systems supported. That's why black beans take the top spot. So today you've learned that not all canned foods are created equal. Some, like fruit and syrup, salty soups, and processed meats, might look convenient, but they can quietly work against your heart, your energy, and your independence. And others, like black beans, salmon with bones, or no-salt tomatoes, can actually help you feel stronger, think clearer, and age with more confidence. If you've been keeping any of the worst cans in your pantry, don't feel bad. Most of us were never told the truth. But now that you know, even one small swap, like switching to no-salt black beans or tossing sardines onto toast, can start to turn things around. Tell us in the comments, which canned food are you going to add or toss this week? We read every message, and your story might help someone else feel less alone on this journey. And speaking of what we put on our plates, in the next video we'll uncover 4 types of seafood that are especially risky for older adults and reveal 4 that can protect your memory, joints, and circulation. Some of these may shock you, especially if you've been told they're healthy. Thank you for spending this time with us, and for choosing to care for your health today. You're not getting weaker. You're just learning what your body really needs now. We'll see you in the next video.